Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. I'm super excited about today's guest. First, public service announcement. We've had over 1/3 views to the channel this year, which is a lot. We've had amazing guests come in. They're high caliber, everybody's high caliber, but we're really well booked into January of 2024 and beyond. I'm super excited about our guest today, but I've got one last message for you. If you're checking out our material, you're watching these fantastic guests, please be sure to obviously enjoy the content, but comment, just say thank you. Just say something that you liked about the show. The algorithm takes notice, it boosts the show so others can enjoy it. Also, subscribe, like, and share. Share with that relative. There are so many times that people are talking to angels on the show, catching the scent of sage. You never know when that person you share the video with is going to catch the scent of sage through their screen 2 years in the future, or flowers. We've had perfume from France. It's all angels. Don't blame me. Don't complain about stuff. We want only positive comments, but we love what you're doing. Keep checking out the show. So with no more ado, or with much ado, I'd like to welcome Teresa Shantz, who's got so many hats. She's ex-Air Force. She's host of Enthusiastically Spiritual. She's a healer. She's author of an Amazon bestseller that just came out, The Soulquake Survival Guide. She's a superstar. She's embodies enthusiasm quite a bit, and it's contagious. And that's her super skill, super strength. So with that, Teresa, thank you very much for being on the show a second time. People can go back and hear your origin story and all your good content on the first show when you were on. Today is going to be extra special. Thank you so much for coming on Angels, Positivity, and Love.
Thank you, Mike. I am so happy to be back today. And everything you say about me is a mirror to you. So hello. We're like mirror balling each other here. Amazing too. So thank you for all that you're doing and the love and light and angels vibrations you're sharing out in the world. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we were already taking a few steps before the show, high vibe, getting goosebumps. I have to, again, thank you because we have a choice in how we spend our energy and where we put ourselves in each moment. And it's not going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to keep making mistakes. We're going to do tons of thinking and judging. We're not going to give ourselves enough love, and we're certainly not going to dish out enough love out there, except when we remember to remember, if we remember to remember. Now, all that means is take a breath and smile, because it's not about words. And I have the number one person right now to talk to about all this. If compassion for all is key, or just being in the heart more is the secret to success in life, can you take us through how do you get up out of bed every day and share the love, feel the love first for yourself? And you and Tom do TNT Spirit Works, which is your website, tntspiritworks.com. People can start checking you out now while they're listening to your high vibe. Take us through the fundamentals here.
The fundamentals. Number one thing is being present and doing what you do and you enjoy doing. Does that make sense? Like, everyone is different. So what I get up and do in the morning at between 5 and 5:36-ish every morning, I get up and I do kind of spring out of bed like that Tigger kind of thing. This is not every morning, but honestly, most mornings I do get up very enthusiastic about, being involved in life and being here. I do a little meditation. I'm not a big meditation person, but I do a little. I do some yoga nidra. I do some dance, Michael. Like, I put on at least 3 to 4 songs and I just kind of dance. I was doing that before we got on. I was doing some good Thompson twin dancing. So for those that remember the Thompson twins, it might date me a little bit, but and then just, I get in, I do some social media interacting, connecting with people on my Facebook, which is the main place that I really connect with people, that heart-centered connections and making relationships. And then, making coffee for Tom and having some, beautiful, morning, grub with him. So yeah, that's kind of how I start my day. But again, it kind of comes back to really individual, like, what lights your fire? What gets you excited to get up in the morning and go, okay, even though there's a lot of crap to go through, like Michael's saying, we're all human. Don't get me wrong. I have my moments when what Tom and I call processing, and I go through a lot of stuff because we all have layers. So it's just really what gets out, your light going in the morning, what gets you out of bed and go, yeah, today is, I'm alive, I'm here. And how much of this can I really embrace and enjoy?
Okay. Enthusiastically Spiritual, your podcast. Look, FeedSpot has it ranked a bunch of different ways, very highly ranked. I think as high as top 20. But congratulations, your 200th episode was in, I'm going to say October. So you've been doing a fantastic job with that. Tell us a little bit more about enthusiasm. Why is it so important? How is it a key ingredient, just like patience and just like, how about we say, patience, enthusiasm? Why don't you give us a couple more ingredients and then talk to us about why are these the core to any pursuit?
Yeah. I wish I had the definition of enthusiasm in front of me, because it's something about being ecstatic, like literally being in a state of ecstasyism. Or is that a word?
Ecstasy, yeah.
Ecstasy. Yeah. So that's really what enthusiasm is. And honestly, Michael, I got that from spirit. Like when I started the podcast, like, okay, what do I call it? Enthusiastically spiritual. Okay. And that really resonated with me. And then once I found the definition and go, my God, yeah, that is a state when I am truly in my heart, when I'm truly embracing the things that my heart desires and what I'm really moving forward, my direction and my purpose. I feel that enthusiasm flowing through everything that I do. And honestly, it can even be from like in the afternoon when I love to cook. So in the afternoon when I'm cooking, that enthusiasm is just going through the food, and Tom loves my food. So that, and so enthusiasm, we all have it. Just like we all have love, we all have all these emotions within us. That's just a certain one that spirit goes, Teresa, this one you're rocking enthusiasm. And so okay. And then again, when I found out what the definition was, I'm like, wow, that so embodies really me and my essence. Even when I was little and growing up in an alcoholic family and dysfunction and no boundaries, I still had that enthusiasm that sparked out occasionally. And it's funny because my mom these days, she lives close to me, and there are times when she sees that enthusiasm in me that I may not, portray all the time as I'm going through the mundane of, living life and dealing with certain things. And she's like, wow, like you're really having fun. I'm like, yeah, when I'm really in my essence, when I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, my enthusiasm comes out full force.
Can you talk to us a little bit about discerning the different flows within? I think a lot of us don't realize that the little voice, a lot of times the little voice, if it's not complimentary and loving or supportive or excited about something, it's the little voice that's kind of holding us back at limits. And so there are different flows within us. I think artists, singers, healers, athletes, there's a million. Yoga, when you're doing yoga, just a person who goes to a yoga class, they're flowing. But then there's so many other flows that are like less. So if it's a piano key, there's lower vibration, there's higher vibration. Can you help a person understand more how they can take ownership of slowing down, paying attention, and discerning where they want to put themselves on the grand piano scheme of life?
You are such a visionary. I love it so much, the way you said all that, the way you painted that beautiful picture. So yes, you're right. There are all kinds of waves of energy that we work with, and tapping into that flow from the divine is really all of our God-given gifts, right? That's the flow that comes through as an artist, the flow that comes through as a musician, the flow that comes through when I'm doing my podcast. Same with you, Mike. I mean, like it all just flows, and everyone has opportunity to tap into that flow. So to discern what's me, what's not me, when that may not be the flow of spirit, it takes some practice. It really does. I'll be honest with you. And even today, there are times when I get thrown off because there's another energy flowing in that I'm like, okay, so what's that all about? Sometimes I have to go through experiences to then recognize, oh, that energy came in and really, threw me off my pivot, threw me off my real divine connection. And so getting to the point where you can discern that energy, it comes in different ways for different people. It really depends upon your makeup. So some people are more about the feeling. So that flow may come in and you may feel all of a sudden like, oh God, I don't feel good. I have a headache. I feel nauseous. That's a feeler thing, right? Or it may come in as a vision. Like, what is that? My mind's eye just had an awful scene, awful thing come in my mind's eye. I mean, really, right? And for me, as a more of an intuitive or someone that's clairaudient, my first gift, it can come in as a word. Like maybe I hear something really bad or a thought in my head. I'm like, where did that come from? So these ways that spirit, that your spiritual perceptions can come through to you can also assist you in trying to discern what energy you're working with. Is that the real divine energy, or is that outside influences coming in to really throw you off? Does that make sense, Mike?
Oh, totally. I think you nailed it. So hey, let's switch to, it's the same topic, but let's switch to a kitchen analogy, and it's breaking those eggs. And you just want to make an omelet or some scrambled eggs, or you're cooking eggs on toast, it doesn't matter. But cracking those eggs, there's a point in our lives where it was hard to get that egg to crack and not mess it up. The shell goes into the mix, or there's people who can do it one-handed. Wow, those are all the healers. That's you, that's everybody out there. But for the rest of us, there's some degree of difficulty here. And I love how you're tackling this. If you're hearing red rum as a word, and that's a Stephen King, whatever that was, The Shining joke here, but it's not a joke, because I think when we walk through a mall or we get 6 hugs at a conference, we pick up energies, especially the more open you are subconsciously, you pick up stuff all the time. But boy, can that be a bummer for your regular life, because you may feel heavy for months at a time and not know that you should clear out. You don't know how to discern anything. You just didn't realize you even have a gyroscope. So can you spend a little more time on how everyone has, well, Star Wars? Okay. Do you have a favorite Star Wars character? Let's interject here. What is your favorite Star Wars character?
Well, I love Han Solo.
Ooh, okay, perfect. So Star Wars is almost the metaphor here, and everyone's a Jedi, whether they knew it or not. You don't have to like the Force, you don't have to like Yoda, you don't have to like any of the details, but everyone has capability, and it's just a question of whether it's this lifetime to sing out of someone's songbook here. Someone I know is so enthusiastic, they're so patient with people. Whether it's this lifetime or the next lifetime, you can tap what you've got here in any moment and make all moments be the same. So talk to us more about what's available for each person the second they want to start paying attention and allowing for more happiness, more flow, more energy to come in. I mean, in a way, I'm so excited to see you in the years ahead do even more work for folks. This is your strength.
Yes, I'm going to go back to the egg first. So as you had that analogy of everyone's got a different way that they break the egg, right? And for me, I look at everyone, all of us, as there's no wrong way to break the egg. The way you break your egg is where you're at energetically. It's part of your journey. It's part of your learning. Some, like you said, some break it gracefully, and some go and crack it all. And you know what? It can have all the different shells in it, and that's okay too. So that's what I've really been sharing with people lately, Mike, is that where you're at is okay. We spend so much time and, oh my gosh, I have to meditate, and I got to do this, and I got to tap, and I got to, yoga nidra, everything. And we have all these amazing tools, but just living life and being practical with, like we're talking about the flow of energy, and understanding that, if I break the egg with a bunch of shells, it's okay. You're being present, you're showing up. And that's, honestly, that's a big part of life right there, is just being present. So whether or not you're accessing, the best energy at the moment for you, it's okay. Taking a break, going, I'm okay where I'm at. I mean, that should be a big mantra for the day. You know what? I'm okay where I'm at.
Embracing all, letting life be the instruction course that it is. Everything's your instruction. Okay, so in the Air Force, I'm going to go back for 1 second on this. How and when, or whatever career role before this current stage, when and how were you tapping what you've got, doing the discerning? Were you doing it subconsciously and you hadn't really owned it officially, but yet you were incredible on this front, and everything you touched always, came to fruition? Share with us just a little tidbit of your origin story again.
Okay, well, I'll go back first to the Air Force. So I knew nothing about energy. I knew nothing about guidance, nothing about the field of spirituality at all. But what I did have is I did have guidance. When I look back and go, wow, I needed to be in these certain places for the next thing to happen, for the next thing to happen, for the next person to be with, the next thing. So it's like the breadcrumbs. Like, I was so good with following the breadcrumbs. When I said at like 17, I'm going to the military, people were like, what? I even had a boyfriend at that time who was in the Navy, and he hated the Navy. And he's like, are you crazy? Do you know what we go through in the Navy? I'm like, yeah, and I'm going in the Air Force. And I knew, like, I would have probably chose Navy too, but Air Force was top of my thing, because I needed to go back to Germany, where I think I shared in the previous episode on that, that was my past life. So I went back there in order to start some healing and start that process without even knowing anything, Mike. So where it all started blossoming was at 38, when I went to massage therapy school. So that's where like I was in connection with people who were doing energy, and I did Reiki, and I, learned about different modalities, and things started opening up. And then in my 40s and later on into my 50s now, where things are obviously much more prevalent, much more understandable, and that awakening phase is, even more lightened now, it's enlightened, I guess I could say. But yeah, so back when I was in the Air Force, oh my gosh, I mean, we could go on about, so we could have a whole other session about, the stories of craziness and the energy. And I was sick and I had hives and drinking a lot, probably because I was tuning into the past lives I had there, and the other energies like we talked about that are prevalent when you're drinking alcohol, when you're doing drugs. It just attracts all this confused souls, confused energy that really wreak havoc with us. And people don't understand that too. So yeah, it's been a ride. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't go back and go, I wish I knew this and that, because no, it was really a trajectory I was on. Like everyone, like I said before, like, we're all on this doing our version of what we've come to do. And so, yeah, I wouldn't change a thing of what I did, who I, experienced things with, because it was all part of, creating who I am now.
Look, people get served a wake-up call. Most folks get the opportunity to be all they can be. Let's keep using military expressions and references, but it's the opportunity to slow down and be more aware, and then therefore be more focused in where you want to go next in life. And so while some trauma, tragedy and everything, or violence or domestic this, domestic that, can sound tragic, everything in life is your opportunity. Everything is an opportunity for growth and expansion. Can you give us some specific details, though? In the Air Force, were there specific skills you had that just always came to light? People would turn to you to get certain tasks done because it was like that. Can you go real tactical, detailed? You just had certain skills. You were super organized. You were hyper, got it done, and we're like, what's next? What were your super skills back then?
I'll just laugh. My super skill, honestly, was the enthusiasm. Like every place, even from like basic training, I recall basic training, like being the airman that was up at night, running through the dormitories, making everybody laugh, and just sharing that light. So like, and even when I was overseas in Germany, like there were times when, well, like you mentioned, like the captain saw that I was, a person that was organized and could really get some things done. So he called me in, and I did some higher things up in the captain and the commander of the supply unit I was in. So yeah, I guess there was some recognizing or understanding that, Teresa's got some, energy mojo going for her, or something that, could really help the unit and the things we were doing and working with at that point. So yeah, there definitely were some things. And of course, when I was, crazy having fun over there, I was all over the place enthusiastic. So
Yeah,
like I said,
exactly.
we can go on. That's a whole other episode about other stuff. So
Okay, so your book just came out, and can you take us through, just give us the synopsis of the book and explain for folks why they should care, because I think it's also interactive. And if you could just give us the overview for it.
So the Soul Quake Survival Guide. So all the things we go through in life, which I've been through a lot of mishaps, like all of us, going back from when I was a kid all the way to the military, to as having children, all kinds of things that we go through. Soul Quake, and that was another word that came from spirit, because when it started, I told Tom about it. He's like, what the heck is that? Then he got it when the book came through, and so he understood what it was meant. But yeah, Soul Quake is in an occurrence or an incident or something that happens in your life that actually shakes you to the core. And I give a lot of different references and different stories in the book, that things that I've been through, to help people relate to, oh yeah, I've been through something like that. Like I just had a beautiful lady recently who said to me, I share a story about when my dad passed on, which was a major soul quake, because I was only 23 or 24. And I was hovering in his room when he passed on that morning. And I was obviously not there. I was in a whole other place with my mom. So, and she related to that and said, wow, when my grandfather passed on, I also had like an awakening, or had some spiritual things happen with his soul and the things. So the book really is to help people understand that, these sometimes weird things or unseen parts of us that people go like, what is that all about? It's normal. And we all have these occurrences. So back to the soul quake part, I also grew up in California, so where we had earthquakes. So I start the book with basically saying how, when the earth shook when I was a young kid, my mom would share things to me like, notice that the dogs aren't barking. the birds are quiet. And, that stillness that happens in the air before things happen, like an earthquake. So I start there and kind of share a bit about, being in Southern California and then relating it to a soul quake. And the part about reviving your connection to spirit in earth-shaking times, it's really all about just reawakening. Now, honestly, Mike, in the book, there's nothing most people have not ever heard, but it comes through the filter of Teresa. It comes through the filter of my experiences. And some people will relate to it and some people will not. And that's exactly why all of us are out in the world sharing books and workshops and events, because there's something for everyone. So some people may not, relate to the ways that I come across with sharing about, being a mom and being in the military and things that happen. But that's what I hope for through the book, is really that people can understand that there's a way to revive that connection. It's not hard. It's very simple. Sometimes people put too much intellectual understanding into spirituality. And it's like, dude, it's really not that hard. It's really not. So yeah, that's basically, the earth shaking times. That's the other piece that I wanted to talk about, is which, if you look back at history, there's always a lot going on, right? I mean, I came in the summer of 68, which, oh my gosh, what was going on there? Vietnam, assassinations, like it was a crazy summer, but I came in that energy. So there's always earth shaking things going on. But for some reason, Spirit wanted me to share right now for this time we're going through as calling it earth shaking time. So I guess we're also, I guess what the picture I'm getting in my mind is that kind of your egg again, like everything is cracking open. It did since the beginning of the pandemic. So now it's like just, understanding how to work with the spiritual part of your journey during these earth shaking times.
So I love it. Pisces 1968 here. Where you put your focus is the energy actually that you're generating for yourself. So if you want to focus right now on the New York Giants, let's just stick to the NFL, skip countries, skip politics, skip censorship, skip anything else as a topic. But when you put your focus on the New York Giants, unfortunately, I hope no one's a fan right now watching. It was disaster last night, Monday Night Football. Their quarterback got sacked 12 times. That's a lot in the NFL. And I'm surprised he's still alive. Where you put your focus is actually the energy you're creating for yourself. So when you judge someone who's clearly a jerk out there, that's the energy you're generating for yourself. And that's the boomerang effect, or the whole, there's so many different ways people say it, religions, philosophies, this expert, that expert, Byron Katie. Can you talk to us a little bit about, you get to choose where you put yourself, your vibration. And it takes some practice. It takes getting out of your comfort zone into a new comfort zone. It takes repetition. It takes cracking enough eggs where we take 2 eggs, crack them. And then we realize, hey, I can learn that technique and go fancy and do one-handed cracking. Everything's evolving, changing. It's scary. And the last place any of us want to go is our heart. Take us through just a little bit about how you help people discern, get comfortable here, and trust more here. That's, what you do.
Yeah, and I think that's also part of the book. There's 12 spiritual awarenesses that I take you through, everything from like getting a bigger picture, what I call the eagle's perspective, to calling in your guidance, like these steps along the way of really just accessing different pieces of the spiritual part of who you are. And in the back of each of the chapters and those 12 spiritual awarenesses, there's different techniques. There's different, you could do some journaling, you could do affirmation. There's all kinds of ways, spiritual cleansing techniques to really help each person, depending upon what they resonate with, understand that there's a way to really support you and what you're saying, as far as, like really tapping into where they're at and their energy. And what came to me as you're saying it too, Mike, is, like the unfoldment of layers. And really getting to those layers, first I'll say, not comparing yourself where you're at to anyone else. Okay. So I get into a lot of rooms where some people, they've done, lots of work, and some haven't done very much work. And it's that comparing to one another, that it just does no good to anybody. It's a lose, lose, lose. And I like win-win-win situations. So doing what needs to be done, your own work, however it looks for you, peeling back the layers, whether it be a book, like a supportive book, like what I created, or, I'm working with the angels and Mike, working with, EFT tapping, or yoga nidra or whatever really helps you unfold, because you'll be guided to it. That's what I've been. I mean, I've tried all kinds of things, but it's really been, again, that journey and those breadcrumbs. I've tried this and try that, and everything's kind of like broke open more or peeled back another layer. And so I think that's, again, back to, honoring where you're at, honoring your journey, and not comparing to anybody else, and just finding what you resonate with. Some people do like to read a book. So the book, I did an audio version, an ebook, and then the paperback. And I've had a lot of people doing the audio version. And that really was like a last minute thing. And it's kind of weird to read, to read your own book. But there were some places in it where I got stuck because the energy was like, oh, you're, reading about your divorce. And it was like, that was a kind of a sucky thing. Right. So, but finding the ways that you can help your journey unfold and peel back the layers is really individual, Mike.
Okay, so the universe is really big, and it's bigger than we're ever going to grasp. And it may not be this lifetime you go, aha, I've got it all figured out. Wait a minute, it changed again. So eternal growth, expansion, more love, always possible in each moment. Now, we get caught off guard by events, but sometimes they're amazing. Can you share with us a little moment where an angel or the universe delivered a sign? You woke up with a feather on your chest, or a cat that you didn't even know was yours. It just popped into your life. What is a moment that you still laugh about? It left you back then with peals of laughter. You got a confirmation you're headed in the right direction. Maybe two of those stories, if you could.
I would say one would be when I met Tom. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll go back. So I met Tom in 2017, but let's go back a little bit to some of the ways that Spirit prepared me for the meeting with Tom. So I have a chiropractor at that point down in Florida, who was very into energy. I mean, he adjusted you, then he did some craniosacral stuff. And at one point, about a year and a half before I met Tom, he said to me, oh, he's coming, and you'll know what to do when he gets here. And I swear, I was like, what? I mean, I just took it in and I let it go. I didn't ask any questions. He didn't say anything, because it was really a download. And I have chills. I say that. It was an absolutely amazing moment when Spirit was like, hey, he's coming. And at that point, I was very unhappy with my marriage and things that were going on and the kids, etc. So it was a time when I was like, like it kind of stimulated me, like, okay, that was a really amazing time frame. And some of the, things that came around that. I would say also, I want to talk about a feeling, because a lot of times, there are these manifestations. Yes, things show up, pennies, different things, but the feelings have really been a couple times really amplified and really took me to a place where I was like, whoa. So I don't remember if I shared before about the Applebee's feeling. So I don't think I did another episode. So before I met Tom, and when I was involved in kind of like, getting ready to leave my previous marriage and family and move on to what I'm here to do the next half of my life or whatever. We're in Applebee's one time just eating, and all of a sudden I'm just overwhelmed with love, like universal love, like Mike, like, I mean, I maybe felt that a couple times since then, but it was the first time I've ever felt like, and I was like, what do I do with this? Because it was so expansive, so encompassing. I was like, I'm filled with love, and I've never felt this before. And, in the middle of Applebee's. So that was an amazing download feeling from Spirit in a very strange place, like in the middle of Applebee's, right? So that was kind of cool. I guess the other thing I want to share that comes to me is I used to do kirtan or chanting a lot. And one of the first times I did that in Tallahassee in Florida, there was a large group of us. And during it, at one point, Spirit literally touched me. I mean, and I'm filled with chills. I say that, like, I knew it was Spirit. I felt it, the touch, and it was like, it just, again, engulfed me. And I was like, wow, it was amazing. And I remember getting up to the guy who was leading it, and I was like, I got touched by Spirit. And it was almost like one of those revelations, like, you're in a hall with a bunch of, holy roller people and hallelujah. And that's all awesome too, right? And then that's what it felt like to me. Like, my God, I got Spirit touched me. And so that's a couple that just come to mind as you mentioned, to share a few.
Well, I'm going to share for 2 seconds. I was at Stubbs Barbecue. If you're in Austin, Texas, make sure you check their rock concert or progressive concert or whatever you want to call it. They've got even a soul barbecue on Sundays. It's like choir-like, but they have this incredible amphitheater structure that actually is one of the best music venues behind this classic establishment or restaurant. Good barbecue sauce. And it can fit a few thousand people. It has bands from all over the world, cannons and so on. So long story short, I'm there, I'm solo. I'm just kind of maybe 10 or 12 years ago popping. intuitively opening up, but I don't want to like talk to anybody. I just want to enjoy my concert. I'm in the what the heck is happening mode. How can there be this much energy? Why am I hearing, seeing, and feeling? So I'm not doubting, but I'm not also embracing it. I want to be left alone. And two women come by and they're like, I think it's him. And then they sort of chat with me and then they go and then they come back and they're like, it's definitely you. We're supposed to show you unconditional love. Now, they work together. They're healers on the side. They work at a company. They've had a really good day. They show me how to ground and send energy into the earth. And I have never had an experience like this ever this open, but I felt the whole universe like love flowing through me and I was supposed to send it out. And I did. I'm surrounded by people. It's a high vibe. It was either M83, the only French band in history that was incredibly successful as a progressive band. They're always trying in France. Or it was Two Door Cinema Club. And it was a really high vibe. I've taken photos of like thousands of orbs or angels at some concerts because of the high vibe. But it was the greatest experience I've ever had for just feeling love in the moment. I still don't have a way to really describe it. I've come close a couple times, but it's a miracle if you get to experience just pure openness. And so my message on this next bit for you is how do we recognize word structure, which is the way we've got to operate daily and we've got to talk, as I just did, versus the letting go and the being. And this is, again, if we're playing Texas Hold'em here, this is one of your strongest suits, again, is the being versus the talking, the words, the structure, because you don't need it all. The more you can recognize that, the more you slip into the natural you.
Yeah, well, I think it goes back to, again, being present. So what I'm sharing and what you just shared about it being at a concert is like, this stuff happens everywhere. You don't have to be in an ashram. You don't have to be in India. You don't have to be at an event. I mean, of course, events they support, right? Because the energy is there for, awakenings or things to happen. But really, it's just being present every single day and just being aware. I think that's the thing too, Mike, is that, and trusting. So we get hunches, insights, and impressions. Honestly, we get thousands of them every day, probably not thousands, hundreds of them every day. And it's picking up on them. And I mean, I miss them still too, because there's so many of them, but going, if you get an insight and then someone calls you like, oh, okay, well, that was my intuition. And, a lot of times people don't really relate to, or maybe name what it might be, but just being present and recognizing that, man, all day long, your spiritual team is, trying to get your attention, or like you're saying, putting a little something in your way or dropping a little insight into your head that might support you if you listen, if you kind of take the time. But I would think it's really back to that again. It's back to really being present and just knowing that it's not hard. It's just being present. But I hear what you're saying about, like, we have a lot of noise in our head. We have a lot of distractions around us. And to me, that just getting to a place where you can relate to, what am I feeling? What am I picking up on? What is this all about? Is really, it's again, that individual journey as far as, okay, because it took me a while to get there. I called myself in the book and other places, a hot energetic mess for years. Mm-hmm. When I had kids, I was all over the place. I thought back there day where, like, my God, I used to scream at my kids and I used to, like all this crazy stuff because my energy was all over the place. But I'm not, but that's where I was at that time. So I'm not going back and going, oh, that was awful. It's like, that's just where I was at, doing the best I could with what I had and what I knew, which knew nothing about energy. So understanding, and now we're coming to a, place in our, the humanity and the unfoldment of everything, is that there's more openness. There's more things out there in the world to tap into, whether it be, I was talking at an event the other day, Christianity, Catholicism, spirituality, whatever it is that you are guided to tap into it, explore it, enjoy it, but be present with the things that come in your way and because spirit lines that up too, right? Like, some people come in with the religion background, then they go into spirituality, and sometimes it's vice versa, like Doreen Virtue. So you just never know what things are going to evolve, but just really taking that time and just, being aware and trusting each day when things are coming your way.
Okay. So kindness counts and goes a long way. And I think that in a way means you're in your heart, you're not judging. You've slowed down enough to sort of just appreciate everything as it is. And you can bring the kindness in. I'm going to do an Anthony Bourdain quote that I saw yesterday for the first time, and I fell in love with it. So I'm going to mention football again, though. I was watching a fantasy football program because I'm in 2 leagues. And yes, 2 leagues, having fun, having a good season too. You can listen for your fantasy football picks during the draft, during the season. Why not? You can use this if you're a golfer. Let angels, let other unconditional love guides help you for absolutely anything. Nothing is too big or small. So one of the fantasy football people mentioned his favorite quote from Anthony Bourdain, and it floored me. I stopped in my tracks and I'm like, oh my God, we went philosophical in the middle of one of those shows. Yay. So Anthony Bourdain reminds us all, and I think this applies to how we open the show, how much turmoil, stress, conflict, people are right over there and people are wrong over there. And this has been going on. Welcome to being human. It's eternal human condition stuff. Anthony Bourdain said, eat an oyster, have a Negroni, have two. Be open to a world where you may not understand or agree with the person next to you, but have a drink with them anyways. Wow. I thought that was just some sizzle. How are you navigating everything, whether it's having to help people who are turning to you, because you go to a lot of, you're very hands-on, very on the ground, helping people individually and in groups, and they turn to you looking for assistance on tapping what they've got, but oftentimes they're data dumping with their situations. My problem is I don't have enough this, my lack is. Can you talk to us about how you're navigating all that while also still expanding within, while also, again, developing your future curriculum? Your stuff that you're offering is expanding. I can tell that. And I also don't think in 5 years it's going to be the same as we're seeing now. I think it'll be other books. I think it's going to be even broader and more supportive for all of us. So can you talk to us again about helping people directly? It's everyone's situation is completely different, but in a broader perspective, when you get above the trees, it'll seem the same. They simply have to get away from the details, get here. Talk to us about that dynamic.
The thing I want to share about that is that it's really communicating. So Tom and I do go to a lot of events around the Midwest, expos, fairs, and people come up and share with me things that they probably never told anybody. And it doesn't, and they're surprised that it doesn't surprise me, because I'm like, you could say anything to me, Mike. And I'm like, whatever. I mean, I've heard it all. I've seen it all. I know what's going on out there. Right. So that to me is a big deal, is finding people or a person or a group or community to really connect with, that you can share freely with, that you have that openness with, that you can, so it gets out of you. Because that's the thing with the podcast. That's why I started it, in 2020, because we were doing mind, body, spirit fairs in Australia. And then we got stuck in a place where we couldn't do anything. So Spirit's like, do a podcast. And so blah, 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 I spouted it out for, actually twice a week for several months, and then started back to once a week. But getting it out of you, communicating, find kin, what's the word I say? Like kin, is that what's the word? I don't know. It's not coming to me. Kinship with people.
There we go.
What I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. And that is a big place to start, no matter where it's at, no matter if it's in a group setting, a one-on-one setting, but really finding someone that you trust and that you can connect with. And that to me is really imperative right now, especially coming through the areas we've been in the last couple of years where it's been very isolated, and people are still isolated. People are still wearing masks. People are still scared. And so, getting beyond those points where you can trust and tell people what's really going on inside is a big deal. And that may even be going to, a healthcare place, a psychiatrist, a therapist, whatever, place you're at to get some support is really crucial. That's what I feel.
Okay. First, another public service announcement. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and obviously enjoy this programming. But remember, your contributions here with the little actions you take help with that YouTube algorithm and allow these shows for Angels, Positivity, and Love to gain more traction. We just broke 1,600 plus views with Lorna Byrne, the Irish angel mystic, who, when I blew sage smoke her way from San Antonio, Texas to Ireland, she caught the smell of daisies and roses. Jennifer McLean, the acclaimed, healer for 35 plus years, has reached millions. She caught 3 different flowers plus sage in Laguna Niguel. Okay, now quick spot questions for you. Who's your favorite angel or guide out of your cheerleading squad?
Out of my
Tough
cheerleading,
question too.
that is a tough question because I have a personal team. So I guess one of mine is actually, he was a chef in Italy. I call him Mario, and he's very bubbly, very light. And he helps me in the kitchen a lot. So he helps me create food with love. And I feel him a lot around me. So I'd say Mario at the moment.
Do you feel him? Have you seen him? Do you see him on command? Do you get a touch on the shoulder if you need a little support because you're like, oh my God, my recipe's gone to boop?
Oh my gosh, that's funny you say that, because there were some recipes years ago where I'm like, oh, maybe he wasn't helping me then. But I feel an essence, and sometimes I'll even channel some information when I'm cooking. People talk about, in the shower, things come through, or taking a walk or run. That sometimes where I get really good downloads is in the kitchen.
Okay, now, if it's a reality show, a deserted island, did I say this right? Pacific Island, fully stocked, incredible kitchen. So it could be Mario, but you can only choose one figure for 1 month to hang out. It's going to be learning. It's going to be fun. Everything is stocked. You've got electricity, you name it, it's safe. Who's the figure that you're going to pick from your unconditional love cheerleading squad now? Is it you sure it's Mario, or is it going to be somebody else?
That's a hard one
You
because
can only pick one, and
I
the
can only
clock
pick
is ticking. It's
one.
a free vacation. All your
But
work will be taken care of.
it's an angel. It's not a person, or is it a person?
Angel, no, angel. Yeah, unconditional love figure, spirit guide, anything.
Let's see. I think I would probably say Joan of Arc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Tom and you. Let's hear you give 2 compliments to Tom. What are his super strengths?
Oh, Tom's super strengths is his connection with spirit. So good. He's my
Listening,
mentor.
seeing, feeling, the whole kit and caboodle.
He sees auras, hears D, all the above.
Okay, I like it. Now, who's having more fun this year between the two of you? And you can only pick one. Let's just say in the last month, who's having more fun with spirit, helping others, and cranking?
Between him and I?
Yeah, now we're doing competition, so perfect. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of filler. Now, back to your show, 200 episodes a month ago, you hit it. That's a lot of experts. If there was 1 or 2 shows people should go check out because the vibe was off the charts, you had to keep the camera steady because things were quaking and shaking. Don't forget our book, The Soul Quake Survival Guide. Who are those guests of yours that you just absolutely, you're like, oh my gosh, this is why I do the show?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one because I honestly love all of them. I love the one you were on.
Ooh,
100%. 100%.
Did we do okay for viewership?
I think we did. Yeah,
Okay.
I think we did. Some other ones, Shawnee Taylor, one of my mentors down in Australia. That was a brilliant show. Gabriela Garbox, she's another one of my mentors down in Australia. She channels light language.
I've
And
met her and I like her a lot. I like her a lot. She's the Rock of Gibraltar.
yeah, she's who I'm going to go down and work with when I'm in Australia. Her and Shawnee. So, but Mike, I mean, I honestly, all the guests are so unique and amazing. And yeah, so it's really hard because I love all of them in different ways because they've all brought a piece of the puzzle. And, my podcast is around mind, body, and spirit. So it's not all spirituality. I've had people come on, talk about work and working with, and that's what Shawnee does. She works with spirit and matter and brings it together for your social media, for connecting with making relationships online and in your business. So that's why I love my podcast, because it's not just, let's talk about this or that. It's like, it's all kinds of different ranges of just tapping into, spirituality. And because it has to be practical, right? We are in this world living, having these lives experiences, and making it practical for you, the listener, the viewer, is so important because you're the one that has to live through it, right?
Exactly. Now, the patented Teresa Shantz view on life, which is take it at your pace. It's okay how it is. You talk about this lifetime, next lifetime, maybe 2 lifetimes from now, no pressure. It's your own pace of absorption and allowing. I'm going to read 4 quotes and then have you, if you could, go back to that really important broad message, which again, I think you're known for now. Compassion is treating all with kindness and love. An angel said that. Another angel named Mac, don't call her Mackenzie, said, compassion is treating every moment with the awareness of a newborn baby. Dale, another angel, said, compassion is just being and trusting the outcome to be of the highest intent for all. Bam, for what you talk about all the time. And Abe, the Abraham of old, on everyone's team, grandfatherly, fatherly energy. Compassion is not judging, taking action with no thought. How can we trust more, allow more, worry less, think less, and just be?
Those are some great quotes, Mike. I love them so much. And the key word obviously was compassion. So what I want to share about that is that just honoring, again, back to honoring where you're at, but really honoring other people and their journeys and their explorations, because a lot of times we can look at that. We said it a little bit earlier about comparing to our journey to other people's journeys, but really having compassion for what they've been through that we don't even know. I mean, I think that's a big key lately too. I'm like, my God, so many people, and I find out backstories. I'm like, whoa, I had no idea. People have walked some this lifetime have walked through a lot of caca, and they brought a lot in with them, and it's a wide variety. It's a big cauldron full of all kinds of stuff that people are experiencing, going through, holding on to concepts, beliefs, but it's really with compassion for other people. And because you know what, we're all a mirror to one another. So that's the thing too. It's like, even though I see other people, if I judge or if I criticize or I, badmouth, I'm doing it to myself. So really using compassion and honoring other people's journeys that are around you, people you don't even know, and your own self. But it really does start with yourself first. Loving yourself, having compassion for, like I said, even when I went back to my life's, this lifetime, I'm like, man, I've done some stuff. And some of it, people will be like, what? And some people are like, wow. And I'm not judging myself. I'm like, okay, that was part of my journey. Even the previous lifetime in Germany when I was, a soldier, not judging that because that was made up who I am now. So it's that compassion piece of really honoring yourself first and other people that you may come in contact with this lifetime, because we're all a mirror to one another. We all come from one place, source.
And where there's a rub, let's say there's someone you don't like, it could be the neighbor, it could be the workplace, it could be a political figure out there. That's obviously a lesson in disguise, and it doesn't go away until you slow down and take a broader perspective. But it's also like any other life situations. Eventually, a broader consciousness comes in. I think it's Einstein who said the consciousness that says, hey, I've got a problem here, or I don't like that person, isn't the consciousness that allows you to move past that and say, I can do more love. And remember, Mother Teresa said, I think if you judge people, you have no time to love them. I was playing with that quote yesterday, and it's the other way around too. If you love people, if you're truly love in the moment, you haven't got time for BS, negativity, wasting energy, which is what all that is. And it's okay. We're going to waste tons of energy. So there was a point to all that. It doesn't mean you have to hang out with that person. It's okay to have distance, but don't create a superior thing and they're inferior. There's no right or wrong. There's proper understanding. What is that proper understanding? You've had a rough interview. I am putting you on the spot again and again. If there's no right or wrong, but there's proper understanding, Teresa, this is again, I'm stealing instruments out of your symphony here. What is the proper understanding for all of us?
Well, the proper understanding, especially to those that trigger us or stimulate us, or whatever you want to call it, there's something in you that's being stimulated, triggered for perhaps for healing purposes, or you can turn it around to be a healing thing. So you're talking about political people that people hate and they criticize other people. Well, okay, so a mirror, you're looking into yourself there, and so how can you heal?
What about the workplace? Yeah, but what about the workplace and a person, let's say, has insulted you at the conference table in a totally inappropriate thing? So from a legal standpoint, you've got a lawsuit. They've literally used words. It's not appropriate. They said, you don't even belong here. Get lost. You're a jerk. Or, hey, we don't need you. And so let's handle it that way, because you feel wronged, and rightly so, you're having a reaction. It's still the same dynamic, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That one's even closer in, right? So the people that are out further, we see them at a distance, but when they're right in your face, that is such a mirror. That is right there and honestly, for myself in the past, I've had issues like that where I've had to, remove myself. And maybe after I said some words, remove myself and then regroup. Okay, so what was that all about? And now I'm at a point in my spiritual understanding that I can regroup at a level where I couldn't before. But lately I've been going back and seeing the people in a mirror and regrouping, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And really doing a lot of forgiveness work around that and seeing them in a mirror in front of me. So that's been real helpful for my own personal healing. But yeah, there are times, Mike, in those situations where you just, you have to get away and then go, what the hell was that all about?
So
That
it's
was,
okay. You don't have to on the spot. If the person's being a complete jerk to you and they're acting inappropriately, you don't have to give them a hug and say, I love you. I understand that it was your childhood generating this. You can create space, properly withdraw from, let's say it's a meeting situation, and then buy breathing room. Feel what you feel. Absolutely go pound sand somewhere, go boxing into that, whatever that big thing is you see in the movies, do your thing, exercise like crazy, go run 100 miles, feel what you feel, don't judge, and understand there's a broader thing in there. Somehow it serves as a reminder for what would you say? You're on the spot now again, a reminder for what?
well, that there's a piece of you that can be healed by what's happening here. So you have a piece of that inside of you. But I agree with you. So like, if that situation comes up, you really probably need to remove yourself because there's energies.
Yep.
Not only this person's got some energies assisting them in this confusion.
Yeah.
So there's confused energy going around that. You don't need to, sometimes you can't talk to confused energy. A lot of times you can't talk to confused energy, confused souls, whatever you want to talk, say it is. But yeah, just, getting yourself away from that situation for
So
sure.
there may be broader energies going on. You're just in a really open mindset. You happen to be going through your path in life, and then someone has a reaction. And again, it's almost a moment for them to recognize. It's a moment for you to recognize. And if you actually do handle it in a smooth way, that's the lesson is, what is your reaction to, let's say it's politics, your sports team losing, a family member, quote, disappointing or not behaving the way you wanted them to, or a vendor, or, if you own a home and your AC repairman didn't do quite the job you were expecting, and now your AC is not working. I'm making all this stuff up. But my point is, it's your opportunity for growth in each and every one of those moments. It's a real challenge. Welcome to being human.
Absolutely, absolutely. Excuse me. And I think that's the key back to being practical with spiritual part of you, because a lot of times people think about spirituality and it's woo-woo and it's all this and that. It's not. It's about working with that spiritual part of you, those unseen parts of you, to help you gain more discernment in your life, gain more understanding of your direction, clarity, and how to work with that gut feeling you have or those insights that come. So in all situations, whether it be a boss coming at you or, road rage or whatever it's going to be, how to stay calm and how to discern what the hell is going on in all this, because that's the key right there to moving forward as a human and having better situations and better outcomes and more understanding than not. Like before, when I was talking about when I was younger, I didn't know what the heck was going on, but I was just going through life, like everybody, right? You just living life.
Hey, I feel like I've gone through my entire life backwards. I'm looking back in time and I'm like, how did I ever get through that high school, that college, through New York City? How did I ever, I'm just amazed at how this keeps unfolding. Okay. If life, I'm going to quote an angel. There's really nothing original. If I've sounded smart ever, trust me, blame angels for this. They exist. Trust that that's so. I've gleaned a lot, whether it's other people listening to angels or myself over the years. And so after 12 years, something's going to sink in. And that's anything that I've said that's smart. Here's one of those quotes, though, from Dale, an angel who's coached a famous gymnast who's won a lot of medals, life coach. You can find them on my website on the photo page and just use that photo. Ask a question, listen, get a hug. What will you allow for? I'll do 3 more quotes. Abe said, compassion is key to all. Compassion allows all to be on one level playing field, no exceptions. I think we're back to that workplace dynamic thing. That's what it's about. Have a little more compassion and realize, hey, something's happening. You don't have to get into the details. You can be more accepting and let it go so it doesn't catch you up. Freedom happens when walls are removed. And finally, this is what I wanted to get to for you. Life has many mini missions, many stages, I'll add. Once one's complete, the next becomes apparent. Talk to us about your mini missions, your stages. I keep going back to a central theme for you. I really feel like you've got some fun ahead. share a little more with the audience that you haven't done on any shows, you haven't done in your amazing book, and you haven't done it at a fair or a spiritual expo. Talk to us a little, share a little more about this amazing path that you're on. It's unfolding and it's probably getting bigger in the next 2 years.
Yes, you are tapping into something, Mike. That's for sure. Well, just like everything in my life has been that, okay, I've done something and then something stops or gets like the energy gets cut and then I move on. So that's what really happened with the book. It was birthed in June of 2023. And after that, I'm like, okay, that's the end of what I was doing previous. Now it's something different. So I've been saying that I'm on the like a caterpillar to a butterfly. So I'm in the chrysalis stage right now where I'm just dissolving everything. And a lot of that work is also with Gabriela Garbox. I'm doing the energy work. I'm doing the work with Shawnee. I'm doing, like I have a couple other people I work with too that are supporting me as I move through this. Cause you're right. I feel that like we're always changing. I mean, change is constant. That's really the only thing we know that is certain is that every day we're here, we're going to change. So for myself, yes, I'm going into Australia to work with some mentors, and I'm not certain of what I'm bringing next. But you are right. It's going to be something amazing and something that's filled with enthusiasm, obviously something about being spiritual and supporting people in tapping into that spiritual part of them and being enthusiastic. But you're right. I am definitely in a place right now that it can be unnerving at times, like, oh, what's really going on? But then I'm also like really being guided to just be patient and just really enjoy the moment. Like, how often do we enjoy things when we're going through it? We're always like, what's the end goal? What am I going to be next? What am I going to bring out? It's like, no, I'm enjoying right now that I'm, having time to really engage with people at events and, and talking to people and doing different things that down the road, I may not have enough time to because I'll be doing other things. So does that answer your question, Michael?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, so for folks out there, put on music. If you have to use YouTube or you have to use Spotify to be surprised, because Spotify has a really good system of recommending similar songs, put in a classic that you love. And it's not a test. This isn't an exercise. Do something, play the music. But does it take you 20 other tasks before you'll even allow yourself to play the music? You had to go vacuum first. You had to go change the pets' water, which they need water, so do that. But my point is, being in the moment is to do compassion for all. There's no greater pinnacle of success. Now, obviously, you got to make phone calls, you got to do emails, you got to pay the bills, you got to feed the kids, the dogs, and so on, and travel to Australia. So my reminder to everybody is it's really cracking the egg, as Teresa Shantz said here earlier in the show. Cracking the egg is getting to your heart, getting to the present moment. It's like those old Tootsie Pop roll commercials from the 70s, 80s, 100 licks and then crack, you get to the candy in the center. I don't know if anybody remembers those with the owl or something, but the point is, it's up to you to figure out the way. You do your own candy metaphor. It's Halloween time soon. My point on this is find your own way to understand how you roll. It's really just your own spiritual makeup. And I know I'm probably borrowing from a page in her book on that. We're going to blow a little bit of sage. That's a staple on this show. People all over the world, you, the audience, can catch it. If you don't mind saying in a comment, let's get to 50 comments saying, I smelled sage, I smelled daisies, flowers. Ask angels, your crew, light beings, angels, your past or loved ones, only the ones you liked. Okay. Don't worry about Frank, the uncle that was a jerk. But the nice ones, your pets are even with you. Ask them to help carry it through 2 screens right now. This is Juniper Ridge Sage. I'm not affiliated, don't get any connection to them, but they're on my website. They're really a great choice of sage. You can get it at a Whole Foods, I believe, still. Catch the sage, but ask angels to bring you flowers or a perfume scent from France. Or ocean. What will you allow for? That's really the message Teresa's bringing to all of us right now. What will you allow for both in the moment and life? Be surprised. Be surprised more. Okay, what are you getting there, Teresa?
Rose.
Oh, very nice. Now, if you want, close your eyes and ask an angel to come in. You'll either get a squeeze, you'll get energy, you'll get a swirl on your eyes, you'll get a vision, you'll get some energy. See if you get an extra little bump of something, and if you could share that with us as well. I'm still blowing sage here. Breathe, 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 allow, allow, allow. If you're out there, no try. I always say, my only rule, I forgot to say it, make a request to angels. This is the only dogma, spiritual, like you got to do this. And I have nothing else. Maybe have pen and paper handy. But ask angels to make it nice. Hey, get me out of my head into my heart so I can actually get something done, whether it's feeling angels, seeing angels, hearing angels, getting my answers, whatever, enjoying this cup of tea. It's a little bit of reverence for the universe. It's pretty big. It's always going to be there for you. You can keep discovering whenever you want to pay attention. But they also can bring you, again, flowers, healing, light, you name it. It's up to you to figure this all out. Okay, Teresa, what else did you just get?
Just take the top off and just allow yourself to expand.
Beautiful. And I'll put a photo up of an angel named Joy, pink ball light. Again, people do this on the show. Just had Dr. Evan Alexander on with Karen Newell. Both are back in October, November, solo. You should be watching this, folks, around Thanksgiving. So give thanks. That's a key to all of this. It doesn't take much to do it. Just say, angels, universe, hey, I'm thankful for everything that's happened to me. Almost everything. Make a little wish list of what you wish hadn't happened to you, but then ask for the consciousness, the presence to appreciate it all. Go ahead and ask Joy for a little reminder on a topic and then take us there if you could.
Feel as much joy as you can each day.
Nice. And here's an angel named Charlotte. She's everybody's favorite teacher, school teacher from childhood. If it was third form, you're in Canada, third grade in the US, Mrs. Johansson. Think of her as her. She's here with words meant to help you expand.
Know that you have everything within you that you need.
Okay, and Archangel Michael needs no explanation. Teresa, if you want on this one, you can put your hand out and through two screens, feel the vibe on the photo. And for those who are doing it, if you're trying too hard, you might get a little sparkle in the hand, but you might get a whoosh down your back. There's no one way here. There's a million ways you can feel the vibration of an angel. And there are people out there that are going to want to close their eyes, do it, whatever you're most comfortable with. Maybe breathe a little extra to loosen up. Teresa, can you describe not only what you're feeling, but also what you're seeing or getting or...
I'm feeling a lot of heat in my hands, a lot of love, but also a lot of strength. Absolutely a lot of strength.
Beautiful. And I've got I've got Carol, an angel named Carol, who's all about real estate, Akashic records. I don't want to say she's a librarian. She's knowledge. If you got questions, go chat with her. But we'll use this photo to represent Carol. If you don't mind getting a real whoosh vibe and a little bit of advice for all of us on our life journey.
Again, don't compare yourself. Enjoy your unique journey.
Beautiful. I'll do one more and we'll switch tactics here on the interview. Here's an angel named Isabel. She's inner calm, tranquility. People can really, if they're a house, you can get feng shuied. So if there's something you want to have your energy shifted around on, so you do less of this or more of that, or you're always like, I worry too much. Well, you can ask to be rewired. Angels can alter your path and help. Let this photo move, wink, smile. You'll see a broader and broader smile from Isabel, but you should really feel her. She's a very, I don't like the word powerful, but she's a big angel. And if everyone can take extra breaths on her, let her do her job. If you're a Google fiber optic cable, which all of you are, 3 feet, 1 meter in diameter. That's a big cable. Just will you recognize it? Do you ever look underground and appreciate your cable? The worst metaphor in the world. But there's an AT&T one next to your Google one. She can help splice those cables. Now you can go 5-foot diameter. Again, worst metaphor in the world, but you get the idea. She's all about electricity and plumbing in your house. She can upgrade you. You had the 1800 circuits for electricity, if there's such thing, those big plugs that they used to use for fuses. She'll get you modernized. So feel what you can feel. Don't judge. And Teresa, what are you getting from Isabel here?
I'm getting about the heart chakra and your throat chakra, how speaking from your heart.
Okay, now tell us more about that. What do we do to tap our heart chakra? You do this a lot for folks. What is a heart chakra?
Well, the heart chakra really is your drive. What really stimulates and fires you up to keep moving on your journey. So when people don't access that heart energy and are really kind of complacent in what they're doing, it diminishes. So there's a way to really, just amplify it. Like Mike said, dance, sing, move your body. I found that in the sense of, working with all this energy, I have to move my body. And that really helps the heart, because that really gets your juices going. You're excited, and your physical body feels good. So it's mind, body, spirit, people. It's a trifecta, as I like to say.
And I'd add that I don't think anyone's actually lost anything. You might have had a rough childhood, trauma this, trauma that, illness this, illness that. Absolutely. And people have departed. But you had a certain chemistry makeup or energy makeup that you came in with. Think of it as a toboggan slide from the great universe and into this particular life path that you've got now. You haven't skipped a beat, lost a step, or the other way around, skipped a step or lost a beat, whatever it is. You've got it all within, but there's 50 buts. And you're going to say, my problem is, my lack is, you don't understand my situation. I've been through this, your life story, tons of blocks, tons of details that actually don't really exist if you wanted to go straight to your heart. So it's the Monopoly game. You can go around Boardwalk, do collect $200 and go straight to the treasurer and break all the rules of the game and take the whole bank. That's going to your heart. Mm-hmm. Teresa, can anyone really go to their heart anytime they want? And in spite of all the details, what they think's happened to them, the trauma, all the blocks, how easy is it to really trust more, allow more, love more?
Well, it really, again, goes back to the individual journey. So it depends on what you're really here to experience this lifetime. So, it may be 2 or 3 lifetimes down the road that someone is ready to open their heart. It may be this lifetime, maybe 2. So it really depends on where you're at in your journey. And, we don't know. I mean, some people may be able to tap into, okay, so where am I at, or what am I, here to experience? But overall, most people don't have an idea. It's an unfoldment. It's a remembering, reawakening. So again, not giving up, not giving yourself a hard time, or, comparing yourself to other people's journeys, because you're at your space for your soul's journey, experience, unfoldment at this right timing right now. And you put a lot together for yourself. I like to share that with a lot of people, that even if they've been through a lot of caca their life, which a lot of people have, man, you put a lot together to be right here, even that part of it. But even looking back at maybe past lives or whatever, it all is an accumulation of things you put together to be right here, right now. And of course, you can access that heart energy and heart, drive, if you're, willing to. Honestly, it takes some work, Mike. It really does. Sometimes it takes a lot of work. Sometimes people have them with, near-death experiences where they have immediate opening up, but then they have to also, regroup. What's that all about? So, I mean, it's kind of like it's individual. That's really what I want to say. It's really individual.
And I'm not trying to make light of light, but it's a little bit like fantasy football, and you've never played before, nor do you have any interest. You get in there and you're like, what the heck is going on? What is this point scoring system and everything else? And I'll tell you, I played, and for the first few years I got abused. I did not know what I was doing. You learn through experience. So experience in life is the best instruction. You merely have, as Teresa keeps pointing out, to pay attention and let life do its job. Everything is your opportunity for growth. Dull Knife, Native American chief is unconditional love. Teresa, if you could catch a sacred scent, it could be tobacco, sweetgrass, sage, juniper, pine. Sage. Nice. And then he's wisdom with some humor. He's super, super sweet, amazing. What do you get for all of us that you can share that's especially tied into your normal messaging that you would do at a fair, individually with folks, at a group? You also are a guest on so many shows out there.
Really lighten up the load, even laugh more.
I know he said once, life is a feast, partake. I love that quote. Here's another Native American chief, Lakota Sioux, red shirt, gentlest mom in the world. I know that's not a manly description, but he's compassion, compassion, compassion. What do you get from him? And if you would catch one more vibration in the air.
Really honor the wisdom you have within you, because you have more than you can even realize.
We'll do a young Geronimo, old Geronimo, and Geronimo can steal the show. He's action, dry wit, humor. If the first 2 were formal, yes, no, proper, he's more like, yeah, nah, just do it. The Nike bumper sticker.
Make it so, number 1.
And then older Geronimo, wait till you see this photo. And here we go.
Don't be complacent. Move it.
Okay, last little bit. What have you enjoyed for resources out there that aren't your own that has helped you stabilize, grasp, appreciate what's going on and tapping your own skills within? Is it Don Miguel Ruiz? Is it Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, Law of Attraction stuff, the Vortex book, Law of Attraction? I forgot the Money in the Law of Attraction books. Can you tell us a little bit about where people can go for help besides your book, The Soul Quake Survival Guide? Where else should people be looking? It could be a movie, your favorite website that you even like to go to for inspiration and a reminder to just chill out.
Well, I have been really intense on yoga nidra lately, and I found all the yoga nidras on YouTube. It's crazy. There's some amazing women on there who are doing some great yoga nidras, and so that's helped my. It helps your parasympathetic relax, helps you tune in. That's another form of meditation, of diving in deep. So honestly, I do it about every day, Mike. It's been really helpful because there's so much going on, and I'm feeling so much energetics all the time, especially lately. It's been like heightened up. So yeah, that's my big thing. So I mean, I've been reading a couple books, but nothing that's like stands out. Really, it's the yoga nidra.
Okay, so tell us what that is for those who don't know.
Oh, yoga nidra is called sleep yoga. And so it's where you're in supine, which is you're on your back, and you just listen to, and you have little earphones in, you plug it into, like I said, maybe a YouTube station, and you just relax, and they lead you through, like focusing on your head, focusing on your body, focusing on taking a deep breath. So it's really a led meditation, but it is amazing. And I've been doing it for years. I actually went to a place down in Florida, which was like an ashram kind of place. And that was a big yoga nidra facility, went there many years ago. And I've just found throughout the last few years that I've opened up that at certain times, yoga nidra has really given me backing and support like no else, because it's really about me doing my own work versus, learning another teaching or another understanding of someone else. It's just listening to what they're guiding me through, and I'm doing my own work.
I'm going to jump to a parallel concept. Angels are with you all the time, whether you know it or not, whether you want to know it or not. Just live your life. It's okay. Get stuck in traffic, get upset, bang that steering wheel. On the other hand, you can get humor. You could appreciate the red-tailed hawk flying by while you're trapped in traffic and say, wow, I'm really not fazed by the traffic at all. I'm appreciative for this moment, that gratitude thing. With that, why don't you, if you don't mind, ask Joy and Geronimo if they're there. No photos. You don't need it. You might not, your phone just died of juice. You're on a walk. You're in a national park and you want to know which way to get back out. It got foggy. You're a little confused. You can get help for anything. Joy and Geronimo, who do you want to pick? Both? One? The other?
Joy.
Okay. So ask Joy if she's there. Ask for another quick reminder for us all. Get a hug. Catch the scent of flowers. I don't think I've actually ever done this on the show without a photo, but that's okay. The point here is you don't have to have it any one way. It's Burger King, have it your way. 1980s, 1990s, and even, 5 years ago, their slogan. Mm-hmm. You getting her?
Yep.
Okay, and what does she have as a reminder for us?
Follow your own path.
Ooh. Okay, Sai Baba, the one from India. Catch an incense that you could never buy from any store, not even Juniper Ridge, but from India. And here's a colorized version of Sai Baba, the one from 100 plus years ago. People can put their hand out. They could smell the jungles of India if they want. Hear a tiger roar. He's on my wall over my shoulder right there. That's the tiger who hangs out with the Divine Mother. You can talk to him right now if you want. He's action. But catch the scent of India. If everyone wants to just ask angels to make it nice, Sai Baba straddles 3 philosophies, religions, Buddhism, Hindu, and Muslim, but he's compassion for all. And if you could get a beautiful reminder about how life delivers.
Yeah, so life is like the ribbons, like weaving your own ribbon through.
So in your act of allowing, whether you think you're being focused or not, don't judge it. You're actually creating the manifestation of what happens ahead. In your perception up here, it could be tough to grasp, but it's trusting, I don't know, the weavers that you are, that everybody is. We'll say Aboriginal stuff, dream time, that it's coming your way. Okay, what would you like to leave us with? Is there, what can someone do who's gotten fired up? You know, obviously they can check out your book and stuff like that, but just if it's an afternoon, they still have an hour free. What are 3 little suggestions that you think are surefire that they can, again, get centered and enjoy life in the moment more?
One is getting outside if you can. Definitely the music and moving your body. And I would love to just to end with a little quote from this, if you don't mind. So chapter 15 is called Held in the Light. There are 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is though everything is a miracle. Albert Einstein.
I love that.
Miracle. Me too.
Teresa Shantz, Enthusiastically Spiritual podcast show host, author, healer, very enthusiastic. Thank you very much for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love.
Thank you, Mike. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you very much.